Hey there, fellow skeptics. Lester the Skeptic Tank here once again. Another unboxing. I was anticipating it arriving today, so I made sure I was able to take the opportunity to make sure I got it out of the way. This is going to be a quick and easy one. Number 2 in the installment of the what will soon to be the trilogy of Equalizer on 4K. And I'm realizing the 4K is just like insurance for me. I think I'd be okay with the Blu-ray or anything less than 4K in terms of storing it and playing it on my machine. Because as I learned with the Mario Brothers Equalizer 1, easily takes up a lot of space, and I might have to pick up a external storage device. I'm sure I can find some around with the outlets I have available. But I started watching Equalizer 1. That's another reason why I like having my own media at my disposal. I don't have to run through FOMO. Well, just make sure that it's still available, period. But something about Denzel Washington historically, and I don't know how many actors can lay to this claim. Whether we're talking Training Day, Glory, or Malcolm X, American Gangster. I'm blanking out on the other one. I honestly did not watch it, but I should find it somewhere. I know it starts with a V. I think it was Russell Crowe who played the antagonist in that movie. I'll have to dig it up. But it just comes to my attention. Not many people can lay to this claim of being able to command a screen, whether we're talking actors or actresses. And I know with the recent criteria or shift therein with the Oscars, it almost makes the achievement a little, I'm going to say it right away, cheap. It affects the value, I would say, that accomplishment once carried. I don't know if it still carries the same weight. All in the name of whatever you want to call it, fill in the blank. What I would like to do, though, is I know I teased it in my unboxing of it yesterday. And I know there's Audible. So I'm for the sake of transparency, I'm not staffed by Audible. That would be a trip. So if you're able to get your hands on this, whether physical media, which is preferred, because it'll always be in your hands, and the thing about and I'll touch upon it once I get going with my testing of biz, is this idea of asset management. There isn't much you can sell if you gotta let it go for any reason. Because depending on the type of book, if you read it enough, if you let it sink in enough, there is a percentage of the material that will sink within the fiber of your being. And this is another reason why we reread text. Maybe there might be new nuggets within the same location of a book. Within that same location, there might be new insights, new realizations, new thoughts. But from an asset management perspective, you can, having owned this, having be part of your quote inventory, you can more than likely at a loss, unless the text is uber valuable, then you could sell it at a profit. But either way, you don't run the risk of, well, I got to downsize. Well, wait, my digital library. What do I do with a digital library that I can't exactly sell that? So I'll save time on that discussion, but I want to read some more paragraphs, and especially when it comes to this standard of performance, when I think about folks like Denzel. Um, Maybe to a degree, Robert Downey Jr. when he was doing the Iron Man. Now, what sets Denzel apart in my mind, if I just think about in the immediate sense, it doesn't seem to matter what kind of movie he is going for. Because I think he was in that movie Much Ado About Nothing, and he was alright in that. I could be wrong. It might be a different Shakespearean movie. But having seen Equalizer 3 and then started watching Equalizer 1, I just realized he's a pretty darn good actor. So, without further ado, I'm going to read, I believe, this is in the section of the prologue. To succeed, you must fail. However, a resolute and resourceful leader understands that there are a multitude of means to increase the probability of success. And that's what it all comes down to namely intelligently and relentlessly seeking solutions that will increase your chance of prevailing in a competitive environment. When you do that, the score will take care of itself. Professional football, in my opinion, Bill Walsh's, is the moral equivalent of war. And I'm sure there'll be disagreements about that. I may have a disagreement or two about that, but I believe Walsh was enlisted in the Army or drafted, given his age. Let me go make sure I got the stress, wear and tear, and assault on a person's spirit and basic self-esteem are incredible. It takes an individual to the outer limits of his capabilities and may provide one of the ultimate studies of people because it is such a cruel, volatile, and emotionally and physically dangerous activity. I also believe that NFL football, absent the extreme physical component, is the intellectual equivalent of business as it pertains to the fundamental task of leadership. Specifically, organizing and managing a group of individuals to achieve difficult goals in an extremely competitive world. The ideas, experiences, and conclusions I offer here are drawn from my own search for success in the context of my profession, football, and intended to add to your own knowledge of leadership in your profession, to give you insights on what a fellow traveler experienced during my own competitive journey. Pursuing your ambitions. I think I've read that part. So part one, and I'm trying to think of, okay. Yes, I think I teased the coaches aren't supposed to cry. Survive 1 minute at a time. Let's see what this takes us to. Okay. So like I said, not an audible reading. I'm trying to find ways to connect dots here. It was a horrible and numbing defeat, overwhelming for me because of its potential impact. The job I had worked for my entire adult life was in jeopardy, but also because of the stupid, self inflicted, almost suicidal way in which we lost. As the crowd roared its approval and Miami players and fans swamped over the field, I stood alone on the sideline in a cocoon of grief, emotionally gutted, wondering if I had the strength to even get back to our locker room. Unless you've experienced this type of emotional shock in the bleak interior landscape it creates, it's hard to comprehend the impact. The memory never leaves you and acts as both a positive and negative force, spurring you to work harder and harder while also creating a fear inside that it might happen again. For me, Bill Walsh, that fear eventually became more than I could handle. Okay, so I'm gonna excerpt this here. I sat in my seat in the first row of the plane and broke down, sobbing in the darkness. I felt like a casualty of war being airlifted away from the battlefield. Bill McPherson, Neil Dallin, John McVeigh, Norb Hacker, and some of the other San Francisco assistant coaches and staff understood the grief I was experiencing and shielded me from any players who might come into the area. They huddled around my seat, blocking off view of me while making small talk and eating peanuts, acting like we were all involved in the conversation. Believe me, I was not participating in whatever it was they said or eating peanuts as I slumped down, depressed, in my dark little space, contemplating whether I should offer my resignation. Most debilitating of all, devastating, was a gnawing fear that I didn't have what it takes to be an NFL head coach. At one point, I actually decided to hand in my resignation the next morning, then I changed my mind. I have tried to describe my anguish, but the words came up short. Everything I had dreamed of professionally for a quarter of a century was in jeopardy just 18 months after being realized. And yet there was something else going on inside me, a voice from deeper than the emotion, something stirring that I had learned over many years in football and before that, growing up. Namely, I must stand and fight again and stand and fight, or it was all over. And that was the instinct that slowly prevailed as we headed home in the middle of a very dark night. I knew that in a matter of 7 days, the New York Giants were coming to town with the sole intent of making sure that neither I nor the San Francisco 49ers would stand and fight again. In my mind or gut, and in spite of pain, I knew I had to force myself to somehow start looking ahead to overcome my grief over the debacle in Miami. It would severely damage our efforts to prepare properly for the battle in New York. My compartment would directly affect the attitudes and performances of everyone who looked to me for answers and direction. I had to do what I was being paid to do, be a leader. I wish I could tell you that's what happened, that I simply turned a switch and was magically transformed from an emotional basket case into an invincible field general. It wasn't that way. It took time for me to stop despairing and regain some composure, to settle down and start thinking straight. But gradually, during those hard hours on the flight back to California, I began pulling myself together. So, going with I've gotten to know some folks during my latter part of pursuing my undergrad. I had a roommate or two trying to be in the entertainment industry. One of them probably had a better in than the other because one was trying to be an actor, the other one was being a screenwriter. Either way, and I had done a couple of days of being an extra. That was a trip, but it's not it's not easy because your chances of being turned down are higher than being accepted. Going through the auditions and what have you. Um, I want to circle back also. I mean, I'm pretty sure there might have been those moments that Denzel might have faced being an actor. I know there was some interviews eons ago about George Clooney and his struggles trying to break big, before he started getting noticed via ER. And it was always interesting with when I had cable, and they would show these moments where celebrities where they had ended up prior to them breaking it big, like Paul Abdul, I think Sarah Michelle Gellar, and the like. They showed what commercials they were on before they broke it big. Um, so the life of an actor is not easy, and I'm sure on some level being able to command a screen didn't come as easily as it does now for Denzel Washington. At the same time, if a movie, in my mind anyway, I'll take Will Ferrell for example, if it's written well and the cast put together has chemistry and it's written well to where it can exude whatever strengths someone like a Will Ferrell may have. The interesting thing, the interplay between pro sports, especially when you hear from the former players, and I may touch more on this in another video, maybe two, but I find it intriguing that, yeah, there may be some bad apples within an actress culture. Okay, not everyone's gonna be an angel. Not everyone's gonna be a saint. Not everyone's gonna be Gandhi incarnate. Whatever term you want to apply. But I look at pro team, the banter surrounding former players talking about, well, I may not have liked the guy. I may not go up with the guy or gal or whatever in any team sport dynamic. I may not go hang out. We may not be the best of friends, but we respected each other. That we came together to do this job. So, in the realm of entertainment, particularly with any kind of TV or movie production, the cast members, whether they're major or minor, they all got to come together and do their job. Because whether it's by merit or not, that may carry with anybody's career. That's why, depending on one's occupational history, experience, someone may have the FU equity to the point where they can go from job to job because they've built that prior equity. For someone that might be up and coming, I don't know about up and coming being the right descriptor, but they may try to get their foot in the door, and that foot in the door may only last so long. So, it's, let's take Henry Cavill. By all accounts, I have not seen a lot of his stuff, but I can tell that he's trying hard to be one of those types to. Now, from what I've heard from various pundits, not the easiest to work with. I don't know. I'm just only basing it off of what I've heard. I can sleuth a little more if I desire, but that's what it is. But essentially, everyone's got to let their egos be checked at the door. Let their whatever baggage they may have that may affect the cohesion of a project, that baggage should be left in baggage claim and not be claimed. So, and for whatever reason, I don't know if there have been enough in Hollywood to tell certain people, personalities in that sphere who try to be a leading figure. I'll take another example, The Rock. If I were, I'll say this, I've seen my share of movies featuring him. I didn't need to watch Black Adam to know that he is more of a, you might call a supporting actress or actor, excuse me, or like a Jason Momoa. Beyond his looks, he doesn't command the screen at this point. Not to put a cap on his career, anybody has a potential to gain that experience, learn new tricks. I don't know if it's a matter of confidence or not, but to sell me on a role where a lot of these people trying to be leading actors, actresses, a lot of them might at this point in their careers, wherever they are, they may be better fit to be an auxiliary role and not to be the one that takes everyone home, leads, carries the project on its back. And Denzel does it in such a way that he could still command the screen, and yet when I saw Equalizer 3, the way it was handled, and that's also in synergy with good direction, where, like in sports, it takes a good coach to allow others to flourish. So again, magnifying the strengths, not so much that you're actively mitigating whatever weaknesses these people may have. So in the context of football, a lot of it is trying to mitigate the weakness of a player, and that may come off a certain way, and they might see that, well, that guy's good for nothing. Well, you would be able to find a way to magnify the strengths while mitigating whatever weaknesses or, or shortcomings an actor, a player, whatever sport may have. And that's part of what made Bill Belichick successful. Now he had Tom Brady. Now, from all the punditry I've consumed over the years, Tom Brady would set the example. He may not have had the best athletically, or he may not be the most gifted athletically, but he would be seen as the unquestioned leader if he allowed himself to be treated the way he was by Bill Belichick, according to all accounts that I've come across, as far as how Bill Belichick conducted, treated players. Then everybody else fell in line, and that kind of is a means of evidence of whether or not someone is able to carry a team on his back. And just by the annals of history, the quarterback position has become something to where you're the de facto face of the franchise or organization, or in the realm of entertainment, the face of the movie or project. And it's very interesting how that dynamic works between cast and director, how they feed off each other, where if a director does consistent consistent illustrations of success based on the movies put out by him or her, then the reputation grows. But at the same time, if it's well directed and they give the right direction to an actor, actress, and that actor or actress can work with that, work with what was given to them in that experience, and they carry that with them, then they help each other in a certain way. So I hope that makes sense. Based on my little timer here, I didn't think it would go that long, but hopefully something came out of it. And I do want to give a quick shout out to those who had watched a couple of the Linux gaming videos I made. It's always interesting to come across games you don't know, you roll the dice on, and don't know what to expect when the game when you launch that game for the first time and you start learning how to play it. I really do appreciate comments. If you want to throw a like, that's cool. You know, apparently I put out some stuff that people enjoy. So, what would help me, as I usually say, put a comment up, and if there's something that you have a question about, and also comment if you want me to do a stream. For me, the matter is making sure my equipment works, equipment, software mainly, and I can manage whatever may happen in a live stream, because it's going to likely be a one person show unless someone, either I ask someone or someone steps up and say, hey, you want some help? And I was like, okay, but let me know. And for those who, I don't know what the dynamics are, but I've noticed at least two of the comments being hidden. I don't know why. I don't know if I blocked anyone by accident. I got to double check if there's a listing of blocked people I might have blocked sometime. I will look into that, but I definitely want to read comments. There was one that I probably meant to reply to, but I haven't yet. Basically, it was an explanation, a correction, and I always welcome corrections. So whether it's corrections, whether it's advice, whether it's, hey, this is how I do it, like low spec Linux laptop always gives me advice. He gave me a corrective, and I got to thank him for it. So my apologies. Here's my verbal, and I'll follow up with a written. So the more specific, defined or definitive, specific comments I can work with, that will help me either figure out what I want to do more pointedly. It will also guide me if I want to do a series. I think, based on what I've noticed, that my mounting drive guide or video was fairly popular. I'm just looking at the numbers that are available in YouTube Studio, so appreciate that. Glad to know that people check it out and they like it. If there's any question, like, I know there have been some points, and yeah, I got to get off my bum so I can start recompiling my Linux kernel. I just I just remember the days when I did that more religiously. It, I met with mixed results. Sometimes it was smooth sailing from start to finish. Other times I had to figure stuff out. And so, at least I discovered a workaround if something were to happen rather drastically. And I really got to be better with my time, especially I didn't know until this morning my phone had gotten its storage eaten up because of all the videos I've taken with my phone. All right, fellow skeptics, thank you for your time, patience, and until next time, peace out. Check you all later. Have a good one. And again, just holler at me and let me know what you want to see. If you wanted something more along the lines of beat cops, let me know. I do have some games that might carry the tag NSFW. You know that, if you know, you know, that kind of thing. So let me know. I will have to make that one restricted. For those who checked it out, appreciate it. Didn't know that I would have some viewers, but that game is quite entertaining, and I might do another run through after just getting used to the game mechanics. All right. Peace.